Picture this. You and your squad are on your last legs. You've called in the extract.
Hurry up, call it in. We can't hold them off much longer.
2 minutes to go. It's going to feel like a lifetime. You've scraped through to this point, barely making it to the top of the plateau of the arid, dust-covered hill. You've been fiercely fighting your way up.
On me, guys. I need your support. Huge ink here, quick.
Waves and waves of bugs relentlessly flooding towards you, burst into a green putrid mass of pulp and sinew, showering your armor and the hillside as you barely keep them away from your position under a hail of bullets.
30 seconds to go, lads. Just dig in. We've got this.
Or do you? Disaster strikes. You receive word that your extraction has been delayed by another 2 minutes. Before you can even digest this, your squad mate utters the words you never want to hear.
Bile Titan, fuck!
Discord lights up in a cacophony of hysterical laughter and disbelief as the monstrosity spews corrosive bile all over you, melting you into a mission failure. This is just one of the examples that came to mind after hearing the recent interview with Sagar Baroshi from Arrowhead Studios, as he broke down the way in which the studio are using innovative methods to shape the overarching story of the Helldivers universe and make the moment-to-moment gameplay experience feel gripping, exciting, and unpredictably chaotic. I am firmly in the camp of belief that Helldivers 2 is going to be a great game, but I did not anticipate just how innovative and thoughtful the developers have been when considering how to drive the co-op elements of the game forward and, big claim here, perhaps even the genre as a whole. So, with that being said, let's dig into some of the more pertinent points of this interview around the synergy between Arrowhead personnel and AI, along with the overall design philosophy of the game. The main area of interest from this interview was the plethora of comments and explanations given to us that focused on both the cooperative elements of the game, alongside deeper insights into where the studio gained inspiration from and the design goals they tried to achieve. Mr. Baroshi was keen to point out that a lot of the team involved in the creative process of imagining Helldivers 2 are avid tabletop RPG and wargame players, and they were very candid about the fact that the game certainly has elements of Warhammer 40,000 baked into it. Funnily enough, I've actually had comments in previous videos chiming in on this topic, saying that it's a shame Games Workshop don't weigh in on their IPs more in this style in which Helldivers is presenting itself, and I would be inclined to agree. I would also say that there are clear links between the two. The arrogantly blinded Imperium draws direct parallels, in my opinion, with Super Earth. The grunts we play have a clear link to the Imperial Guard. The bugs, Tyranids of course, even the automatons have a Necron-like feel to them, and in some footage, I even get a flavour of the Chaos Dreadnought in there when looking at those mobs. I love the fact that there's inspiration that has not only just come from shooters, and they've cast the net much wider. This, in my opinion, can only benefit and increase the appeal. Perhaps among the most striking comments made in this video was,
"But it isn't just the tabletop aesthetic that inspires Helldivers 2. Tabletop thinking gives the game one of its best hidden secrets."
So, in a lot of tabletop gaming, you have a dungeon master or a game master, right? We also have a game master in this game. It's very hard to achieve exactly what you get at a table, but we wanted flavors of that into this game. This is not a minor part of our game. This is a significant feature that we've designed that is, by the way, somewhat different from the first game, something that we're really excited to talk about. We have a suite of tools and a suite of real-life human beings, okay? Not just AI bots, right, that are doing this, that are observing the gameplay as it's happening and responding in real time.
What, like, so like servers in like Arrowhead, and then they're watching people play and then they're talking to them?
That's right.
this is perhaps one of the single most exciting things I've heard about this game in the run-up to its release. Having actual humans effectively GMing the games in which we are playing, monitoring us moment to moment, is an extremely exciting prospect, and I immediately found myself being thrown back to the system Fatshark I've implemented in Vermintide 2, in which streamers can activate a plugin that allows Twitch viewers to control what happens to the players in-game with the streamer. They can choose moment to moment whether they want to help or hinder the progress of the party. It can be low-stakes choices like give a really rubbish utility item or a small healing thing, or it can be game-changing things like spawning a rat ogre to really try and derail and end the run for the party. I can safely say that this makes for some really unique, interactive, and downright hilarious moment-to-moment gameplay. It would be amazing if Arrowhead could perhaps try and implement something similar for Helldivers 2. I'd certainly be interested in using it on stream with the PhaseShift community. This has me really excited, as it sounds like Arrowhead are moving in a really great direction, combining the use of AI and human input to create a living, breathing game world that will feel incredibly organic and unpredictable. This will be beneficial for everyone playing the game, and I'm really excited to see what creations the community wind up producing in relation to how the system will work. As a young PhaseShifter, I can remember picking up the box for Left 4 Dead 1 and seeing the headline with words to the effect of AI Director, telling the game to have the ability to manipulate the gameplay based on your actions, which was an incredibly exciting prospect back then. Ridiculous to see how far we've come, and I'm trying to think of other games that have successfully implemented this type of approach. Sound off in the comments below solo with any you can recall. Mr. Baroshi also mentioned that this is going to feel incredibly impactful in those nail-bitingly close missions, stating,
So we have this Game Master functionality where we can drop in more or less things like buffs, but sometimes debuffs will happen too. A good challenge sometimes can be really valuable. Imagine how tight it was towards the end of some of those missions. What if you had to hold and defend the extraction zone for twice as long as you did before? That might be a bit.
I don't think we would have done it.
Yeah, and especially at the higher difficulties, those marginal differences could be the difference between success and failure in the mission. There are a bunch of things we can do with this.
it really does feel like this could make or break your game, which I think some people are going to be a little bit salty about from time to time, me included most likely. Can you imagine how sinister some of these human decision makers could get, particularly when observing higher skilled players? I actually think this is a really interesting prospect and feels like a great step at innovating the co-op genre. It hasn't been done much, and I'm delighted that we're going to be part of this experiment, which I feel could yield some very positive results and insights. They also discussed the live service aspect of the game, a highly polarizing area of the game's development, might I add. Not only is this Game Master aspect going to work on a micro level of moment-to-moment gameplay, it's also going to have an impact on a macro level in terms of the whole game universe. Comments here reminded me of how MMOs often roll out their content in phases and host server-wide community events. A very memorable example of this was many years ago in WoW Classic, I'm really showing my age here, where the Blizzard of old created an event called the Anchorage War Effort. For those of you that are fortunate enough to not be old enough to remember this, basically what they did was there was 2 raid instances that were not immediately available to the general population. All the servers, in fact, had to undertake a massive war effort. The event reached its climax with a server-wide 10-hour event which spanned lots of zones in the game world. It seems that Helldivers are taking this community-centric concept and doubling down to create a sense of camaraderie and really allowing our decisions as an entire player base to have a huge impact on the way the game operates on a macro level.
Here, the progress through the galaxy is going to be slower than Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
So you're going to be fighting, trying to liberate planets. As you do that, the enemies have goals, right? They will look at what you've done, respond to the ways in which you have, you as the community, that is, has behaved, and react in a way that changes the face of the galaxy thereafter. So if you, say, are clearing the way to those planets that were mentioned that you have to get to, and you then take over the next territory and the next one, it's hard to say what the Terminids will do in response.
Yeah.
They might try to circle around. They might try to hit you head on. They might do something that you don't expect at all. And by the way, that is something that this Game Master functionality does for us. And I keep saying functionality because it's not just people and it's not just tools, but both are involved. And we have a human stamp involved at this part.
This again really reminds me of an MMO approach in terms of how the devs want us to be invested in our own universe. It feels like it's going to be on a slow burn, and for those of us that are in for the long haul, we're going to have some absolutely awesome surprises and twists and turns along the way, and I can really see my group of friends investing in this overarching story, and I'm beyond excited to experience what seems like an excellent cocktail of how live service games can be run, taking inspiration from the successes of the past. Now, I'm not saying for 1 minute that the developers have gone, oh yeah, World of Warcraft did this in 2006, let's copy it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there seems to be parallels there in terms of what worked out well then and what I think could work out well now, and I think it's really nice to see them taking a bit of a brave step, I would say, here. They could have played it incredibly safe, but they're not, and I like that. I think that's a great step forwards. In terms of the overall design approach, some really apt and pertinent points were also raised that, again, make me breathe a huge sigh of relief.
The thing that most strongly correlates with success is, God, I'm going to sound like a leadership seminar training or something, is communication.
Yeah.
Is communication. So the teams that talk the most and laugh the most, really, and are most practical about what's happening usually achieve the most success for a couple reasons. One, another outcome of bringing the camera down is you just have less battlefield awareness, right? You have less sense of what's happening where. If someone simply tells you, hey, I'm going to go behind here and try to draw this particular enemy away from all of the rest of you, that's key information in how you solve a problem.
Communication and cooperation are absolutely paramount in this. Mr. Baroshi acknowledged that the switch to third-person perspective creates a higher level of immersion, all for that, and limits your awareness of what's actually going on. I think this is great. I sound like a broken record here, and apologies to those of you that have been watching much in my previous videos, but this is what makes games like DRG, Vermintide, Darktide, etc. so bloody awesome, especially when you want to take it seriously and play at higher levels of difficulty and really get your teeth into it. This lack of awareness means that you need to communicate to be successful, and for me personally, I find that immensely enjoyable. Many years ago, I used to play competitive config matches in Left 4 Dead 2, a very long time ago now. Success in these matches required absolute solidarity and communication between you and your teammates. Whether you were the infected or survivors, coordination of your pushes forward or synchronization of your attacks were paramount. Direct quote from the developer here, I think is really nice. They say they want to create intense, saturated moments of unpredictable, hilarious chaos. This reminds me of my recent experiences when taking on Hunt Showdown. A lot of that game involves making sure you communicate with your teammates, and you can pull off some absolutely crazy things just by being able to give correct info to your fellow hunters. How about you folks? Do you have any thoughts and opinions on this? Sound off in the comments below. What have you played recently that relies so much on communication? If you're looking for a place to hang out once the game launches, join the PhaseShift community Discord. The invite is pinned in the comments section. Take advantage of the Looking for Group channel and keep up to date with the latest news. 4 more sleeps until Helldivers. Are you excited? I bloody am. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.
30 seconds to go, lads. Just dig in, we've got this.